Going on, guys? Here it's Shotts Seastone. I'm just bringing you guys here a little Rift Rogue PvP guide. Just to give you a couple different builds to some of the new players that have jumped into here. I know we have a relatively small community. People do ask me, what are some of the better rogue specs to play, whether it be healing, DPS or off support or something like that. So let's get into it. As a rogue, you're going to be prioritizing a lot of your planar fragments. See here, a lot of them are going to be spec'd for crit power. Crit power is kind of king in this meta, so as long as you have crit power and attack power, it's going to really transition pretty well to a lot of your damage. Rocking a lot of the Slayer gear, the Reaper Shroud. All that's going to be bought with Challenger marks. You should be going to the Rift Store. Upgrade parts. Roll on Challenger marks. It's gonna buy all your level 70 PvP gear. You can go to armor. I'm gonna scroll down to the ones that sold with favor, and this is where you're gonna purchase a lot of your PvP gear. Then you go to accessories for trinkets, planar crystals. You'll have to change this one to 65 to buy the level 65 trinkets. They just provide a little bonus, like this one gives you 40,000 health and improves your survivability quite a bit. But alright, we'll jump into it. Alright, so the first spec we're going to go over is 61 Marksman. This is probably going to be one of the more common specs that you see played in Rift PvP. I'm going to take full 61 in the Marksman build. I take 9 points into NightBlade. This is where the majority of your AoE is probably going to come from. Take 5 points in Burning Rage, then 3 points in Coup de Grace, little damage increase, and then some points Blazing Fury. Good spec in a couple more points to get Twilight Force, and then Status Sloth to increase your damage by 10 if you don't want to take the little Predatory Instincts buff, but usually kind of equals out for damage. You can put 6 points into Eagle Eye, 1 to get the buff for Predatory Instincts. Then you'll take Legendary Call Razor Piece. It's going to increase your non-ranger damage and healing by 20% for 20 seconds on a 30-second cooldown. You'll be using this for a lot of different builds. And then you'll take Hellfire Blades. That's going to increase a lot of your AoE, the weapon ability, attack, steal, and additional, almost 30,000 fire damage in a 7-meter radius, up to 3 foes. Very good spell. Again, see that in a lot of DPS builds. Then we're going to take Legendary Calculated Shot. That's going to basically cause your channels to tick 2 times as fast and deal 20% more damage. Legendary Rapid Fire Shot you can cast on the move and turns into a channeling spell, so it gets a lot of the channeling buffs from Marksman. This turns your Empowered Shot and turns that instant and then reduces the cast time of Deadeye Shot and basically makes that insta cast as long as you're not in the legendary version, which is going to be down here. Again, another core part. Just going through the build tree real quick, you get a damage increases, increase your critical hit with those multiple spells there, damage increase, and then this is going to be one of the key ones, 20% for your Marksman finishers to reset the cooldown of a powered shot. That's going to go pretty well into our build here. It's going to be in one of our macros. A couple of extra channel spells. Marksman finishers increase the damage of Marksman combo generating attacks. So we got quite a bit of a toolkit here. So see if you press P, we got our Marksman spells here. So they're all lined up. I like to, for the buffs that I'm particularly running, you're going to take Silver Tip Munitions, which increases ranged weapon attack damage from the rogue by 6%. Range Combat Mastery, which you get from your tree. Predatory Instincts from the Ranger tree. Static Shock Munitions increases critical hit damage and healing by 5% and increases damage done by 15. And Rapid Fire Free Recoil. That's the one that reduces a lot of our cast times to instant. Then we have a Debilitate or an Interrupt when you debilitate someone, a little Root, and then a Knockback, which is useful. A little Jolt Back, then a little and then Eradicate takes our 2 buffs. So for macros, pretty simple, straightforward. I would use Barb Shot. You're going to want to keep going through a lot of these spells. This one's going to increase the damage of your channels. So that's going to be generally the first spell that you cast on most targets. But for your first macro, it's going to be a Deadeye macro. Again, you're going to put Empowered Shot, cast Powered Shot, cast Dead Shot. That's going to give you, significant damage hitting. Powered Shot hits for a lot, and getting that cooldown reset definitely really helps provide more damage. And then you can spam Deadeye Shot with that, because I'm pretty sure one of the spells makes this reward 2 combo points, if I remember correctly. Yep, so that's going to be the first macro, just Deadeye. Builder is a little bit longer. Show Calculated Shot, because it's going to be the most important piece. And then here, just to have the cooldowns, really, and it's going to increase the damage of the channel, so it's really the most important part of this macro. But we're going to do Cast Eradicate first. That's our purge that we had down here. It's going to instantly remove our 2 buffs, and it's going to put it at the front of the macro, so we cast it every 8 seconds. Very handy against certain classes. The Cast Powered Shot again, and then Calculated Shot's going to be our third. Then we'll use Lightning Fury. This is going to reduce the armor on the target, so more penetration. We go Swift Shot. That's going to increase our movement speed by 15%. Very useful. And then you can have Barb Shot at the end. And then you just basically, it's going to cycle between these spells. Then for finishers, you're going to want to use Rapid Fire Shot. That's going to really be one of the most common finishers, if not the most common finisher that you're going to be using outside of Deadeye Shot. Every time this is up, you're going to want to be using it. It's a very fast casting spell. It's your main channel. Keep that one off. We'll get into the burst macro after. Single target channels, you're going to want to use Sentry Battery, and then cast Planar Variation. You have Planar Variation from the 61 to 65 masteries. And for here, we're just going to take Planar Replenishment. You get the endurance increase. No bonus is really added in there. Ascended Biology, just to get the 5 meters in a non-melee attack, so just an added range is really nice. And there's no extra buffs really given from the other ones for this build. And then damaging ability is 20% restore 4 energy, because you definitely need to cast spells more often. And then the Sylvanite Munitions has a higher stack count, so you're definitely going to want to take this one. Repetitive Strikes just increases damage by 2% up to 3 stacks. So you're going to take Planar Variation just because the channel works well with this build. Other builds, you're probably going to take Energy Manipulation. But yeah, so you're going to put that in a macro Sentry Battery, which is this one right here. And this generates combo points up to 5 points at the end of the channel. So you're going to want to use that immediately as part of your burst macro along with Planar Variation. Both hits really hard, anywhere from like 20 to 30k ticks on a geared rogue. Your AoE, you're gonna put Lightning Fury in it. Chain Destruction, another good one. And in this single target chain, you could put Strafe at the end of it. It's a lower, it doesn't really hit as well, but it grants immunity to stun and stairs. So it's really good if you're getting trained and you're like trying to run away. Use Strafe as you're running away, so you don't get CC'd to shit. And then in your burst macro, this one's probably gonna be a little bigger. One of the main combat buffs is gonna be Bullseye. Increase crit hit chance. That's gonna be your first spell. And then call Razor Beast, 20% damage increase. And then cast Hellfire Blades. This is for your AoE. And then the Warmonger's Charm, that's that trinket, gives you 40,000 health. And Reliquary is another item you can have somebody craft to a level 70. Gives you like 40k health and some crit hit. But that's mainly the burst macro. And how you're gonna play this is when you target, first spell, always gonna be Barb Shot. You'll see the silver tip munitions already stacking on there. And then you're going to go up to just about 5 combo points. If you already have 5 combo points when you put Barb Shot on, you're good to go and cast your Deadeye here and just take your combo points down. Re-ab the Barb Shot on. And you're going to want to cycle through your builder macro until you get 5 combo points. Your burst macro until it's all done. Cast Rapid Fire Shot. You'll see some of the AoE on the side. And then you're going to go into Sentry Battery until that's over. Cast Deadeye Shot, and then you can beat to Planar Variation. You want to make sure you keep the Barb Shot on there as well for increased damage. That's basically the rotation, and then you can go back, use your Deadeye Shot to increase damage for your combo points, and then back to Rapid Fire again. It's pretty much rinse and repeat then press your strafe as you're running away. Burst, if you want, harder hitting Deadeye shot, and then you get rapid fire refresh, and then if you want to use your AoE macro, you can. Chain destruction, sprays, AoE. Then if you have a full planar attunement tree, you're going to get a bunch of little buffs and stuff from here. Make sure you have the war one definitely filled up, because cleanse for rogue is really good. Takes all your dots off of you. You're going to want to put that into a macro. Yeah. So you have a list of these spells in there. But that is it so far for Marksman. The next class, I would probably say, if you're going to want to go melee, get out of combat here. I would say probably the next spec you're going to want to go is Assassin for melee, because a lot of the objectives is really good. And I don't know why I can't get out of combat. To run away real quick. There we go. Yeah, a lot of objectives, and Assassin has stealth. Run back over here real quick. But again, on this one, so you're gonna go 61 Assassin. You're gonna pick up Ranger again. Need that damage increase. 15 Bladedancer. You were gonna put 5 points in ambidextrous, 5 points in blade finesse, 4 points in combat expertise, and then you're gonna pick up sprint. 50% movement increase. You can't really go wrong. We'll take legendary sidesteps for increased dodge, increased movement speed. And then obviously legendary Call Raise Beast. You will take the 61 ability Master of Poisons, Poison Mouse, which is going to be where most of your damage comes from. Threat of Death. This is going to allow you to cast one of your stuns that you use in stealth. You can use it out of stealth. Very handy, really good spell. So a lot of this class is really going to be a lot of like minor dots, and then using some hard-hitting abilities on top of it. But use stealth out attack, get damage increase, take less damage. Puncture, this is going to relate into this build over here, Soul Steal in the 61 mastery. You gain, enemies you have damage within the last 3 seconds, apply Soul Steal, heals you for 4% of your maximum health, and then attacking with Puncture, which is going to be the spell that we're going to use, and another one, Jagged Strike. Or Impale puts stack of hemophilia on the target, increasing damage by 1.5% per 3 stacks. So you get a nice, 4.5% damage increase, which is, pretty decent. Adds up on the tape over time. Like Revitalize, increase healing. You could probably switch to one of the other ones. This one really doesn't matter. You could actually probably take Adamant Resolve if you want the absorbs, but this one's kind of useless for Assassin. You could take the movement speed stack from damaging, combo point. You get movement speed. Or you could take the passive 10% increase. A lot of people do take this for Rogue. And then this one's just reduction of crowd control. This one, if you're struggling for energy, which Assassin tends to do in the macro that we have, this one isn't a bad one to take either if you're not struggling for movement speed. You take repetitive strikes for this one. The other ones kind of don't really benefit you as much. Then you'll take energy manipulation. And a lot of this, you're going to be using a lot of bursts from really coming right out of your stealth, just for that damage increase, and then basically you're going to try to get the hell away after that. Assassin Finisher is 20% chance, it applies exposed weakness. So a bunch of good abilities on here. So mainly the ones we're going to be using is Assassinate and Stealth, Paralyze and Straight. These are all stealth abilities, so when you are in stealth, you're going to use one as your incapacitate. That's your sap if you played WoW. Really good. Backstab, if you're trying to basically kill shot somebody, this is probably going to be the one that you want to use. If you take Legendary Assassinate, this one's really good. You get all your poisons on there immediately, but otherwise, Assassin's really good. Ignores armor, good finishing hit. Paralyze and Strike going to be the most common use on this. Is your stun right here, as you can see after my top bar. And so we'll get out of here real fast. So for macros for Assassin. Charge, you do Leaping Plunge, Flash of Steel. Flash of Steel is from Bladedancer. Vapor Rush, again, this one's from your plant archery. Spam macro. Energy manipulation is mastery buff. Warmonger charms, that spell I told you about. Call Razor Beast, Jagged Strike. Oops, sorry about that. Jagged Strike, Debilitating Dart, cast Serpent Strike, cast Assassinate, Debilitating Dart, Backstab. So you're just going to try to cycle in between these quests. And this one's pretty good because it has a disconnect and it's going to pop your burst. Most of your burst with it, so you can kind of hit it from a range. So it has the disconnect, and then your Impale is going to be your main and first bleed or finisher that you're going to put on there. Have Poison Malice up, that's going to be, you're going to refresh this like every 10 to 12 seconds. You're going to want to apply Puncture in the beginning as well, and then roll into your burst, hit Final Blow, and then basically you're going to keep going in this rotation, cycle in the Poison Malice, refresh, and then keep hitting, Final Blow again, keep cycling through this, and like I said, you're going to get a little energy starved at one point, and you're going to have to use Enduring Brew to get probably some of that back, just like you did right there. So again, this one's pretty simple for the rotation. Just want to make sure that you do get puncture on there, and you have your sprint and your side steps for speed increase. You can move pretty fast on this one. And I'll show the slip away macro in a second, where you can dodge into stealth real quick while you're in combat, and then you can wake up the target again. Take your Threat of Death. This one lets you use Paralyzing Strike, not stealth. It pops up. So this one's really good. Good bit of CC in this build too. Go back into the macros real fast. So for a Threat of Death macro, this one I have tied some of the bursts to it, so the Energy Manipulation, Call Razor Beast, cast Expose Weakness, cast Threat of Death. You just spam multiple times. A lot of the stuff will be cast in the spam macro as well. But that'll allow you to use your Paralyzing Strike, which is you're going to want to have on another bar. Your Slip Away macro will be cast Slip Away, cast Elusiveness, cast Hidden Veil. Hidden Veil delays the breaking of self from damage taken. This one actually slips you into self. It's really good. And Elusiveness just reduces your chance of being detected. So a lot of your damage is going to come from the Serpent Strike is one of the main casts as well. Your Leaping Plunge is one of your charges, finishers. So, and for main poisons you're going to want to run, they're interchangeable, but I use Enfeebling Poison. 10% less damage done to you, and you get some damage added on. 5% critical hit increase and some damage added on. And then this one, you're going to return 2 energy and do extra water damage. So these are going to be the 3 poisons that you're mainly going to be running. Exposed Weakness is going to be another main cooldown that you're running. Debilitating Dart, all stuff that either snares or helps do damage to the target. And for a CC macro, really good. Foul Play is going to be your hard stun, 4-second stun, 30-second cooldown. Blinding Powder, this one's the AoE Confuse. Oh no, I lied. This one's going to be the AoE Confused Poison Gas, and then Blinding Powder is going to be your single target blind, basically, or confuse. And then Weapon Barrage will be your hardcore interrupt from Bladedancer. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much Assassin, relatively easy to play. You know, so if you're installed, break, you're going to pop Poison Malice, you're going to hit Impale, and macro. Make sure you get Puncture on there. Then use Final Blow, and then repeat that. You might use Stun. Using your thing. Don't forget to refresh. You can use Kailer if you want to see. Can't refresh. But yeah, this can be a rotation. So, like I said, good stuff. Really good burst on this one. Really good burst. Tackle the next one. Come on. Get us out. The next one we will tackle. So we'll probably save the healer for the end. Bladedancer will be the next one we'll tackle. This one you can run two different builds, which we'll go over. It's pretty easy. It's one of my favorites. Bladedancer mainly is a In its core, it's mainly a single target class with some decent filler AoE as your disconnects. My opinion, probably one of the strongest melee classes in the game. Bit of a glass cannon, but can do a lot of single target damage, a lot of AoE damage, especially if you build this for the AoE version. But right now, this is going to be the single target, 100% uptime for Fated Blades. So it's going to be 61 Bladedancer, 15 Ranger, and 0 Tactician. You're going to take Legendary 100 Blades. It's going to be your spammable AoE. You can do this 3 times before it starts consuming all your fucking energy. Um, Twin Cleave is going to refresh your dances, which is a lot of your combat buffs. Fated Blades is one of your dances and one of your combat buffs, and this allows you to ignore basically all of the armor on your enemy and more, and get a shit ton of attack power increase and contribution. So basically, in itself, is pretty good. Then we're gonna take aggressive defense because you're doing a lot of creds. Gonna go a lot of absorbs. This one really doesn't matter. I take the increase healing. I take the 10% Sprinter's Guild, the movement increase, repetitive strikes, and then energy manipulation again. And this one in itself, you really only need to maintain a few spells. It's got a lot of spells. You really need to maintain a few. But basically, in this class, the more that you cast, so you'll have Precision Strike, and you'll have to use this after you use like a separate little combat ability. So like this one would be Keen Strike and Quick Strike, or Keen Strike and Precision Strike. Precision Strike grants 2 combo points. Keen Strike, Quick Strike grants 1. And then you'll get Binary Strike that you can use with Precision Strike if you're going full 61, which for this case that we are. So Binary Strike is the one that you're going to want to use for most of your damage, and then right after use Precision Strike, which we'll have in a macro. Basically, the more finishers you use, you'll use Deadly Dance. It's going to increase the majority of your damage from combo point spells and finishers, and at multiple stacks from the improved version is really strong. So the more finishers you cast, the stronger Bladedancer gets. So really good. So for this build, we're going to have a burst macro. On your second spell, you're going to use Double Strike, which is one of the last finishers. It's also the strongest finisher in Bladedancer. And then your second finisher you're going to use is Dauntless Strike. Just reduces the crit on, or increases the chance the enemy's going to be hit. So you use this one first, and then Double Strike for everything after that. Until your dances are completely dropped and you're out of combat, then you'll have to use Dauntless Strike again. Yep, and then so for our AoE, we're going to use Dancing Steel. This is going to be our main melee AoE. Slightly harder hitting the Underblade, basically the same spell, but in a 20 meter range or 25 meter range, which is also really strong. So the main point in this spell, or in this build, is you're going to use Empyrean Bolt to reduce the cooldowns of your dances, which will be shown in your spellbook here, called Rhythmic Actions. And the 2 main ones that Bladedancer wants to be using is Fated Blades, that's the armor ignore, and then Blade and Soul Parity, which increases crit hit chance and critical hit damage by 50%, which is really strong. So those are going to be 2 dances they're going to be trying to keep up, and if you look up here, they're going to be active for 20 seconds. And the point of this build is to do damage while you're in here, and then you're going to eventually refresh it with Twin Cleave. Attacking, and then let's say it's about to expire, we're going to hit Twin Cleave down here, reset the cooldown of our dances. And then basically you can keep doing this and use Empyrean Bolt to reduce the cooldown of Twin Cleave, and basically you can be able to keep this up 100% of the time, get its reduction there. And you're going to take a slight DPS loss doing that when you are again, and then we have it for another 20 seconds before the cooldown resets. So you can keep a good bit up here. You'll lose DPS obviously casting this on someone, but it's a range, so it is somewhat of a filler. The main buffs you're going to be using in this, by the way, are combat preparation and defensive pose. Defensive pose really good for movement speed, reduces damage taken, but it slows down your energy rate. But you won't run into too many problems with that on Bladedancer. You'll run low enough to be able to cast this stuff. Predatory instincts again from Ranger, so It's gonna be a lot of off soul with that. Into the macros though. So for Bladedancer, use Fated Blades, Blade and Soul Parity, Energy Manipulation, Call of Razor Beast, Warmonger's Charm, Reliquary of Rage. Again, these are your two heals or for heals. But you'll keep those two up, so you get it all in one macro. Really nice. Charge macro, Flash of Steel, Vapor Rush. Unfortunately, we don't get an extra one, so we have to use Vapor Rush from Clan Archery. The CC macro, Disengage, which is, I believe, is your hard stun. Disassemble is your debilitate or your blind, if you want to call it, if you're coming from WoW. The weapon barrage is your interrupt, which we've used in the other one. And then part of your, you're gonna put this in your break free macro, is use Untangle because it grants you crowd control immunity for 8 seconds, so that's baller. But yes. So basically, this is a pretty simple build. You know, stacked up, do damage. Then periods where like your enemy's gonna be running away from you, you're gonna want to keep your your 100 blades just to catch them until you can close the gap, and then go right back into your damage. Cause this is gonna be mainly the single target version of Bladedancer. So you don't have to worry about AoEing too much unless you're trying to spin the point or something along those lines. In the Bladedancer, you can build another way for more direct AoE. Let's get out of combat. Sorry. I call this one the Hellfire Dancer. But instead of taking any of the points in Tactician, you're going to remove the points out of Ranger, pick up Nightblade, and pick up Hellfire Blades. This really just going to be for your AoE damage. So you're going to do 5 points Eagle Eye, 1 point Predatory Instincts. Then you're going to do 5 and 4, Burning Rage and Blazing Fury. So you get just the damage for your damage increases for everything. And then take the normal legendaries for Bladedancer in the front. Same masteries on the right. Basically, it's the same routine. You know, you charge them, pop your burst, hit. Don't use your Hellfire Blade, keep that one off. So you get some combo plays built up. You know, we have a couple stacks of Deadly Dance. And then pop Hellfire Blade and go spamming. Obviously, you get a bunch of ticks. Go up. Basically, anyone that's used to run this build is just going to probably more than likely blow you up because they know Bladedancer does a lot of damage with the AoE. Really good situationally. Probably easier to play than dumb because you know you're kind of limited in your toolkit. I would say Bladedancer doesn't really have much outside of its movement speed increases. But the next one is we're gonna do. There's a bunch of different versions of Nightblade. I'm gonna give you two. The first one is Nightblade, the Coda variant. Nightblade is like a fire rogue AoE / single target class. For this one, we're going to use Bard, the support soul, for its finisher, which is going to be Coda of Wrath down here. This legendary is useless, but keep it on there for looks. You'll take Legendary Dark Descent, so you get 6 finishers that do 65% more damage. That's going to be key for the burst in this build. Dust Strike increases finishes by 40%. The cost of this spell goes up significantly every time you cast it. Call Razor Beast, and you know we're taking Hellfire Blades. So Twilight Force, we get State of Sloth. I'm gonna get the 10% damage increase. Dark Malady, increased damage done by 20%. We'll have to use this in stealth, so that's part of this build is done in stealth. Scourge of Darkness increases the weapon attack damage by obviously 11,000 if you get 5 points, which will be also added into our burst. Very strong spell. Get more charges out of there. The heat retention, this is going to be good for when we're building up into our burst. We're going to use 5. We can build up 5 stacks of this heat retention, which increases our finisher damage by, I think, ends up going to like 100% or something along those lines. And we're going to be using Dust Strike to build that up to get the 40% increase from Dust Strike, which makes this build pretty good. So a lot of your setup, so you're going to actually make sure you're taking Motif of Bravery out of there, because this is going to be one of the Bard raid buffs. Get attack power, spell power increase, and a small crit hit chance. So you're going to want to keep that up. You get a nice little buff from Anthem of Glory if you have 8 points in it. Increase your non-physical damage by 10%. pick up Anthem of Glory. You should be good in there. And then you're just going to add 3 points into Wilderness Training for Ranger to get a small damage increase there. Then you get Predatory Instincts. You use Ebon Blades and Smoldering Blades for your buffs up here. But all in all, not too bad of a build. So basically what you're going to want to do is before you stealth, cast Motif of Bravery, get your increase, pop into stealth. Whenever you find your target, you're going to use Dark Malady. Well, you're going to want to use Dark Malady out of that, and then we're going to pop into our builder, cast our builders until we start building up these stacks. There we go. Just a little server lag. Yeah, when we get these 5, you're going to want to have Twilight Force on there. Make sure your motif's up. And then you're going to use Reverse Macro, Scourge of Death, and then cast Coda of Wrath. This you can get some massive crits off Coda of Wrath. You can hit them from 30 or 35 in your range. So it's a pretty routine cycle on that. So again, you build up your stacks, and it's not going on. It's not hitting. Oh, there we go. These purple stacks are the best for 5. These stacks get to 5, and the purple into 5, you get a big increase. That's when you're gonna want to launch your finisher off. Going to the macros for this. So for this one, it's just Hellfire Blades, Call of Razor Beast, Living Flame, Energy Manipulation, Dark Descent, Ebon Fury, cast Living Flame, cast Touch of Darkness. That's for the burst macro. So if we go over here, Dark Descent's the 6 finishers. Ebon Fury makes our Dust Strike, main part of our builder, not cost anything. Touch of Darkness adds weapon ability attacks for 6 seconds. Very useful. Obviously our Hellfire Blades, and I believe where's Living Flame? Oh, there it is. And then deals 77 damage over 5 seconds up to 3 enemies, so we get some nice AoE. So all in all, decently sized burst on this game. For builders, we're going to use Death of the Shadows. Cast Fiery Spike on this. Is going to be on this spell right here. Then Dust to Dawn. This puts some healing, minor healing and damage increase for us on there. And then Dust Strike. This is going to be the one that provides us our 5 emptiness stacks. Then you'll have Fiery Spike on there just in case you didn't cast that before. And keep Twilight Force for your 10% damage increase from the tree, which is going to be right here, State of the Sloth. We get 10% damage increase as long as it's on there. And then we'll use a Scourge of Darkness macro, have Death of the Shadows, Dust Strike, just to make sure that we're getting all of the things that we need. So I have that over here. So these 2 in tandem, the Burst macro and the SOD macro, are going to be used in tandem. Burst macro, run all the way first, and then the Scourge of Darkness, then start casting your finisher. Little AoE burst macro. I don't really use it all that much. Let's see if we can get out of combat again, and then we'll jump back in. So, here we're stealth. Get a little teleport called Blade. So again, put Dark Malady, that's this spell on. And then you're gonna have Motif of Bravery, hit this. Then you're gonna start building up your enchant stack. So this is second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Pop your burst, macro, big points. Good size hits on there. And then usually you're gonna want to get the fuck out after that. Usually you can cast like maybe 1 or 2 finishes until someone starts damaging you. But your Twilight Transcendence, which is going to be this blue spell, part of your utilities. Oh no, it's part of your combat buffs, but basically big cleanse, reduces damage taken and damage done, and then restores 50% of your max health, so you could tie that with like a heal macro or something. Use the more longer symbol. Catch some nice heals. But we will go into the pure AoE version. This one is a melee version, same same class, slightly different though. You're gonna swap Bladedancer instead of Bard, go all the way full Bladedancer, pick up Sprint again, and use these three trees on the right. Pick up sidesteps for the movement speed. We get the added charge. Still taking Call of Razor Beast, Hellfire Blaze, and this time we're gonna take Flame Blitz. And this is basically the key of the AoE part, and increases combo points up to 3 enemies, puts Fiery Spike on them, and you get a nice 80% damage increase if they have all the stacks on there for Fiery Spike, which it'll automatically be put on there. So it's gonna be all in all the same style. Start from stealth. You don't have Bard, so you're gonna worry about that. You just gotta put Twilight Force on there. So pick your target. Like I said, there's gonna be multiple people, so drop it. Dark Melody, put your Twilight Force on there. Build up to 5. I usually like to make sure everything pops up. Then I'll pop it. The SMD ones, and then instead you can use the Flame Blitz down here. And you can kind of see the AoE. And it'll work on this stuff go really crazy. And then, you're probably going to want to get out, and that would keep your charge up here. Same macros for this build. It's not all that different. 1 second. Get out. We'll cover one more. I think I have one more damage class I use. More for shits and giggles, though. This one's going to be Ranger. Probably one of the lower tier, not the lowest, but one of the lower tier. You can still perform well with this build, but I would say once you're max geared, it's a little bit better. I mean, it's much better than Sab, and it's much better than what's the other class? Shadeborn. But this one's gonna be 61 Ranger. You're gonna take Animalism, lets you cast, basically lets you cast Finisher, every second for 10 seconds. 40% damage increase by the pet, by you. Get 5 combo points every second for 10 seconds, and then additionally legendary Analysm passively increases damage abilities that generate combo points by 80%. So big damage increase for that, so it's a must take in there. Divert Rage, you're gonna stick this in your burst macro. It'll be part of it. Long cooldown though, for 10 seconds and 15% damage increase. And you cannot use Call of Razor Beast with this build. It will not work. I have tried. It does not work. And then you're going to take Ace Shot. Just basically all in all, does it create 300% more damage and added with added buffs. So pet does more damage. You get the pet buffs. Really good. You're going to use Hellfire Blades, State of the Sloth. Get the 10% damage increase. And then you're going to take Assassin. You get a stealth from them, so we're just saying the stealth from Nightblade. So you need to take Virulent Haste. Basically, once you get 7 stacks from damaging abilities of this Acidic Wrath, your finishes deal 30% more damage, which you will see in longer drawn out fights. You'll see, it'll actually pop up. But aggressive defense, again, Ascended Biology for the extra range. Juke and run for this one because you're running around. And then, basically a lot of this stuff is going to be the same because you don't do much channeling in this, so we don't need to use planar variation. But a lot of your damage is going to be coming from Ace Shot and Twin Shot. Twin Shot's going to be your main finisher. Ace Shot, your 41 ability, is going to be your main generation for everything. A lot of the extra stuff is going to be a lot of fillers. And most of this build is going to be reliant on the Animalism burst. You're basically spamming it down, then that you're just going to be spamming a lot of your little spam macro here. So again, Piercing Shot is going to be your reduction for armor. You're going to want to use that every time it's up. Shadow Fire. This is actually pretty good with this one. If you take in the level 61 Mastery, Aggressive Defense, Shadow Fire now increases range damage by 10%. When Shadow Fire is procced, it now deals 35% more damage, so it actually can hit very hard. So it's the other part in your spam that it's pretty good system. So this is going to be in a spam macro as well. Trick Shot you probably won't use much unless you're spinning a point. Splinter Shot I will put on as I am in a fight. I have it on a separate one down here. I take the Fiery Spike from Nightblade as just an added dot to put on there. Rain of Arrows, I actually do like this spell. 6-second cooldown, and it's a really short channel. If you let the channel go all the way through, it actually
keeps the arrows coming down. So really, really, really good at spin point. It doesn't do half bad damage in a map, and if you have Hellfire Blades actives, it actually can proc for some decent damage. For buffs, you're gonna take Feral Instincts, 5% damage increase and reduction. Ravenous Instincts, basically you get 10% damage and healing increase and 5% crit. Really good. You're not going to take Predatory Instincts for this one, even though we're spec'd into it. Spirit of the Wilderness is going to be active when you have a pet open, which we'll talk about in a second. Then CC, just, it's interrupt up to 5 enemies, really nice on the point. Roots enemies, pin down, escape artist is going to be good for your escape macro. The hasten call is be used just cast your pets instantly. So for this one, once we get our buffs on, use hasten call, take out the raptor. The raptor provides a slight damage increase as part of his buff. And I believe the wolf is for crit or heal reduction, one of the two. But I mainly, for the most part, have the raptor out. And for the most part, when I'm opening a fight in Ranger, the first thing I do is I usually always hit them with the piercing shot right away, and then Twilight Force if I'm close enough, it's a little bit shorter. And we're gonna immediately go into spam. You'll hear the noise of twin shot going off. You can just take a couple reps of two twin shots. And then I make sure piercing shot's on again. Twilight Force. Off my whole animalism macro. And you can basically just sit there and spam twin shot. You'll see the combo points just generating over and over again. 10 seconds basically. That's your move. Then it's back to just damage, Twilight Force, piercing shot up. You can drop your arrows down if you need. Go back and spam it so you get arrow spam. The cool thing about this build is if you use Diffuse, your pet intercepts all of the incoming damage that's going into you. So you can survive some pretty ridiculous bursts, and people half the time won't even realize that you're damaging all your shit to your pet. And then you can, when your pet dies, tap Hasten Call, bam, bring it right back up. So you want to use Hasten Call almost in lieu of Diffuse sometimes, just to bring that pet back up and have them continue to take that damage. For the macros on this one, very simple. There's a Shadeborn. Your spam macros, just cast Shadowfire, cast Ace Shot, cast Quick Shot. Really not much to do with Quick Shot. You're just gonna leave because it does more damage than the Splinter Shot. So Splinter Shot's a dot. Trick Shot, if you want to switch this, if the fight's getting close, like a wipe fight, you could probably take Quick Shot out and just use this one. Probably have DPS meter a little bit more. Be a little bit of a long one here for the Ranger burst macro. So you're gonna take Feral Aggression is your first one. Increase, damage critical hit chance of the pet by 50% and grants immunity to fear and confuse, which is really nice. Then you're gonna cast Hellfire Blades, which we've talked about many times. Divert Rage, Animalism, Twilight Force, you can actually take out of there. And then cast Energy Manipulation. You could leave Twilight Force in there and then put Energy Manipulation and put cast self Energy Manipulation. And just swap these two out because they're actually backwards. And then you could even take the Reliquary, put in there or not. For burst, I usually put in there because normally when I'm about to burst, I'm usually pretty low health. But yeah, so make sure that's on. Spirit of Fullness. Yeah, so all in all, that pretty simple for the most part. You can macro a lot of these different spells. So I think the last spec I want to get into will be Isbard, and then we'll talk about Full Physician. Great. In combat. So for the main part, healing in general, pretty low compared to probably what it's been in the past for a returning Rift player. I didn't play before 4.3, so I can't attest to what the healing's like, but the healing just, I feel like all in all kind of sucks now unless you're playing a warrior or a Frostkeeper mage, and even still, you're definitely going to work your butt off compared to warrior. But nonetheless, you can still have some really good utility. Fizzbard, 41 Bard, you're going to do 5 points for good health. I really like this one. Just increase in health is just great. Stage presence got 2 points, 4% heal increase. Anthem of Glory is your armor buff. Um, Cadence, you cast Cadence, you get some minor healing done according to your attack power. You put 3 points in that one. Damage and healing done by 5% for Street Smart. This one's really important. Power Chord, definitely have 1 point in that. 3 points in Chord of Inspiration because this is going to add a little absorb and give you a little increase in damage and increase in attack power for raid members. And this one ties in with the level 62 mastery. It says increases rain damage of non-melee abilities. Um, so yeah, this one's really good. Which one is it that stacks? Oh yeah, oh no, I lied. It's 61. Okay, Power Chord casts all known motifs. So your motifs is gonna be spell power and motif of tenacity. And there's another motif, but we don't get it. It's this one down here, and there's another one. Regeneration. This is going to be your healing one. So cast your healing ones over and over again. So it's really good to be part of your main mechanics as a bard. You can choose to take improved Anthem of the Competence if you want to sacrifice a point somewhere else. I didn't. You could just have movement speed while you're in combat versus you can if you don't have it. Take Riff. Riff you definitely want. Help you generate. Code of Restoration, definitely going to be taking that. Triumphant Spirit will have 5 points for 30% healing increase. Nothing in Current Mercurium. Resonance, you're going to want that. Increases allies' attributes by 5%. Um, you don't have to take the captivation verse. Virtuoso is a must-have. That's a core component to your build. Reverberation, as many points as you can, and then you're going to take Harmonic Distortion and have the legendary version of that. This allows you to stack up 10 harmonic distortions, which is going to be these pink or purple buffs that I'll show you in a minute. And then the Coda, or the motif regeneration, now stacks up to 3 times the legendary version, and then basically is like a 15% heal increase, which is really nice. So you can take Call Razor Beast because you get the healing increase. And for Physician, with 35 points in there, Antiseptic, 5% heal increase and absorb, 5% crit chance and gene amplification. Urgent Care, improved, gives you cooldown reduction. Residual Care, allies, take part of this Urgent Care. You get the hot and the direct heal. Biofeedback is up to you if you can take. Kind of nice to have. Better in a full Physician, like a 58 Fizz. But I don't use it for Fizzbard. I personally find it worthless, just a waste of time. And then Paramedic training, 5 out of 5. You're going to want detoxification to be part of your purge. You get a heal for every time you purge. Increase group therapy, maintenance therapy. Add 5 points in advanced medical study. Adrenaline shot, you'll definitely want that. Mass detox, which is really good. One of these is interchangeable. You're going to take stim treatment, and that's it. Or you could take one of the raw healing components in here, but we don't use many physician finishers in this one, so you don't really have to worry about that. But your main buffs are going to be preventive medication, stimulus treatment, Anthem of Glory, Fanfare Vigor, Fanfare Power. That increases, all your main stats by 1,000. The other ones, endurance by 1,000. The other one's just armor. Take the unstoppable version here. Not much is going to help unless you want the movement speed. It could be either way because we don't have a battle res in this build. It's not to my knowledge, yeah. But we're going to take maintenance therapy because every time we cast a heal, we get maintenance therapy put on if we're using a single target heal, which is going to be used from active treatment because you're going to want to spam active treatment on multiple people. To proc maintenance therapy helps for your overall healing. You'll take planar variation for your last one, and it's going to be a nice little channeled spell. Alright, so for macros, we're a little macro light on this one. Okay, so for spam, Warmonger single bolt simply don't even have to put in there. But cast Urgent Care, cast Casual Treatment, cast Active Treatment. You know, active treatment going to be being your you know, your instant heal. Casual treatment is going to be your cast. You get every 10 seconds. So that's going to be those three in the spam macro. You could just, you know, really one tap that, stop, get the cast off. The purge macro, Burst of Purity, which is amazing. We'll look into that, which is the main part of why Bard so awesome. Mass Detox and cast Detoxification. If you go into Bard and you scroll down to Burst of Purity, it removes 1 curse or disease, up to 10 party members every 3 seconds for 3 seconds. That's just amazing. Great to have. People will love you for doing that because there's a lot of warlocks that put a lot of dots on in this meta and clerics. You do have some debuff finishers. I keep those on a separate bar up here. Coda Wrath does damage. We use that in NightBlade. This one just increases physical damage. Increased physical damage, and then this one's non-physical damage. So nice to have them on there. Single target spell, power chords. Remember, that's going to cast your motifs. That's going to be these things down here. So you get the healing one, and then the damage one, and the reduction damage. And then Riff is going to give you 5 combo points. You're going to be using that with one of your finishers. And one of the main finishers you should have in there is Coda of Restorations, AoE heal. And then Group Therapy is going to be the other AoE heal you have, which heals party members. You use that a lot at the end of a lot of your bursts. And your burst is pretty simple. It's going to be Call Razor Beast, cast Virtuoso, and then if you have the other 2 pieces, you can add them in. Alright, so when you're healing as Bard, first thing you're going to do is, for me it's 4, but you're going to cast the ST macro. It's going to cast all your motifs, put your absorption, the damage increase. And the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to spam Coda Restoration. That's going to give you 1 stack of harmonic energy. So again, cast your stuff again. Rift gives you 5 points. Then you got 2. So these purple stacks are going to allow you to cast Harmonic Distortion as that's your main heal. That's going to be your biggest heal in Fizzbard. A lot of this stuff with the spam macro, with Urgent Care and Active Treatment, it's just filler and combo point generation so you can get your harmonics. So once you have your motifs up, you got your motif, the green one to 3 stacks. You know, you got 5 combo points. Everything's good. You know, spam through your macro. When you cast Virtuoso, it's gonna let your Codas not consume any combo points. So you're gonna spam Coda Restoration in the group fight. So you get, where is it? You get 10 of these babies. Then you can cast Restoration 5 times. That's basically gonna be your routine. You know, keeping your buffs up, motifs up. You know, cast. You know, keep your Codas. You know, if people need another added AoE heal, use Group Therapy, and then you can keep, you know, using your purge. You know, just keep cycling through because you got all the 3 purges in there. Keep cycling through over and over again. Basically, yeah, that's kind of the routine. If you have extra time, you can use your Coda of Cowardices and the other Codas during your burst to debuff the team. But all in all, really good, really good class to have. Most healers will love you, and all the DPS will love you if you're purging it off them. You still get your planar variation you use for damage or to heal yourself, which is pretty nice. So AoE on there. Yeah, I mean, hopefully this helps, a lot of people. Most of the stuff that you're going to be doing, as Fizzbar like says, is going to be a lot of cleansing. You just keep making sure the buff's up, not necessarily raw output healing. But it's nice, you can get some pretty big, like anywhere from 10 to 20 k with harmonic distortion. Just make sure you're using your active treatment to keep the therapy up, because they get a damage reduction, and trying to get the thing to pop up here. And they get a hot, so you don't want to be spamming that on multiple people. But yeah, I think that is it for Rogue. You can let me know if this helped anybody, and then any of the offshoots on Rogue that are other classes people play. There's like Tac Bard, and others. But hopefully this helps. Leave me feedback in the comments. Hopefully other PvPers swap to Rogue, start playing Rogue a little bit more. Alrighty, thank you.